The Obsidian Crown, Episode 2, Into the Shadowed Wilds. Dark clouds loomed over the cursed wilderness, an uninviting mass of shadows and whispers where even sunlight feared to tread. At its threshold stood Zuberi, his blade strapped to his side, and Captain Ayo, the resolute leader whose determined gaze mirrored the weight of their mission. The Obsidian Crown had been taken, and its absence threatened to unravel their fragile kingdom. There was no turning back now. They were bound by duty to face whatever horrors awaited within. "This is no ordinary journey," Captain Ayo whispered, her voice as firm as the grip on her staff. Zuberi nodded silently. Together, they stepped forward into the unknown, the cursed land swallowing them whole. Suddenly, a piercing growl shattered the silence. From the shadows emerged grotesque beasts, their eyes glowing with malice, their forms obscured by flickering darkness. "We are not alone," Zuberi muttered, drawing his sword. The beasts lunged, their attack swift and relentless. Zuberi's blade moved like a dancer, slashing through the darkness, while Captain Ayo countered their strikes with her quick reflexes and calculated movements. The battle was tense and unforgiving, the odds seemingly stacked against them as one wave of attackers followed another. "This isn't just the wilderness," Ayo snarled amid the chaos. "The curse itself fights us." Together, they warded off the threat, though the strain was etched into every breath they took. But relief would not come easily in a land that seemed intent on extinguishing their resolve. Hours later, as they pressed deeper into the wilderness, Zuberi and Ayo found themselves face to face with another threat, crossbow bolts buried into the ground mere inches from where they stood. From the shadows stepped a figure, cloaked yet composed, her keen eyes observing them carefully. "Move another step, and I won't miss," the woman warned, her voice calm but unyielding. "This is my land." Captain Ayo raised her hands in a gesture of peace. "We mean no harm. We are only passing through. The fate of the kingdom depends on our mission." "Your kingdom might mean nothing out here," the woman replied sharply. But something in Ayo's voice caught her attention. She lowered her weapon slightly, her stance softening. Soon, introductions were made. Her name was Anaya, a navigator who had survived alone in the cursed wilds for years. Reluctantly, Anaya agreed to hear their story. As they shared their purpose, her expression flickered with curiosity, though fear lingered in her eyes. "I've seen too much in these lands," she said after a pause. "And I've lost too much. But if what you say is true, you need me to survive here. I'll lead you, but know that I do this for my own reasons." Anaya's experience became immediately invaluable. Where Ayo's leadership and Zuberi's courage had carried them thus far, Anaya's knowledge of the wilderness provided them with safer paths and an understanding of the land's sinister traps. "This isn't a simple curse," Anaya explained as they traversed treacherous terrain. "It's alive. It listens. It haunts." The trio carefully avoided areas Anaya called death zones, silent stretches of the wilderness that swallowed anyone bold or foolish enough to pass through. Her guidance saved them from disaster more than once. Yet the wilderness resisted their passage, its malevolence growing with every step they took toward an ancient ruin that Anaya claimed held answers. The whispers on the wind grew louder. The shadows seemed heavier, more watching than hiding. Nestled in the heart of the wilderness stood a weathered stone structure, its warped edges indicating it had battle time and magic alike. The trio approached cautiously, their weapons drawn and senses heightened. Inside, they found faded inscriptions carved deep into the stone walls. Strange symbols seemed to vibrate with forgotten energy. Anaya traced a section with her fingers, murmuring softly as she pieced the cryptic message together. "It's a prophecy," she finally said, her voice trembling slightly. "It speaks of the crown, of its power, how it ties to the balance of the kingdom. And, if it's misused, this curse will spread beyond these lands. Her revelation hung heavy in the air. Zuberi clenched his fist, and Ayo took a steadying breath. The stakes were even higher than they had imagined. But before they could absorb the gravity of the prophecy, the air shifted. A cold, oppressive presence descended upon the ruin. From the shadows stepped a figure cloaked in black, his dark robe seemingly woven from the void itself. His eyes glowed faintly, pulsating with malevolent energy, an ominous smirk spreading across his face. "You're quite bold," the mage drawled, his voice sleek with condescension. "To trespass where you don't belong." Zuberi and Captain Ayo stand defiantly, ready to confront the mage. The trio took defensive stances, Zuberi gripping his sword tighter, Ayo raising her staff, and Anaya reaching for her crossbow. "Who are you?" Ayo demanded. "I am merely a fragment of the darkness that has claimed this land," the mage replied. "And I cannot allow you to disrupt what has been set into motion. Surrender now, or I will ensure your journey ends here." The group didn't hesitate. The confrontation erupted in a clash of steel, magic, and arrows. The mage's dark spells filled the room with energy that cracked stone and shattered air itself. Zuberi charged headfirst, his bravery shining against the darkness, but the mage's power was overwhelming. Each strike of the sword clashed futilely against protective barriers the mage conjured with ease, sending Zuberi scrambling to find ways to counter. Captain Ayo, however, saw opportunity within chaos. Her sharp mind calculated every movement, directing Zuberi and Anaya to positions that weakened the mage's hold. She struck with precision, her strategic thinking forcing the mage onto the defensive. Meanwhile, Anaya observed silently, her sharp eyes catching a faint disruption in the mage's barriers. "There is left hand," she shouted. Her quick thinking turned the tide, giving Zuberi and Ayo a crucial edge. But the struggle was far from over. The mage's power seemed endless, and the trio themselves grew fatigued. Finally, with careful coordination and combined effort, they created an opening. Anaya's perfectly aimed bolt distracted the mage long enough for Zuberi to deliver a powerful strike that broke through his barrier, forcing the dark figure to falter for the first time. Yet, when the dust settled, the mage was gone, vanished into an ethereal darkness. Anaya slumped against the wall, exhausted. Ayo helped Zuberi to his feet, her sharp eyes scanning the shadows for signs of the mage's return. "He'll be back," Ayo said grimly. "And stronger." The group retreated, their bodies battered but their determination burning more fiercely than ever. As they regrouped in the wilderness, the silence of exhaustion gave way to reflection. They had survived, but not without realizing how much each member of their trio was vital to the others. Zuberi looked between his companions and nodded. Ayo's leadership had been their anchor in the chaos, Anaya's sharp mind their saving grace, and his own resolve the fire that had kept them all moving. "We've come further because of each other," Zuberi said. His words cut through the fatigue, igniting steely resolve in their eyes. Captain Ayo smiled faintly. "We'll need to trust in those bonds. This is just the beginning." As the trio prepared to venture deeper into the wilderness, a distant figure watched from atop a crumbled bridge. The dark mage, his form partially consumed by shadow, murmured incantations under his breath. Sparks of dark energy swirled around him, his focus unbroken. They think they've escaped, but this is only the beginning of their despair. The mage raised a hand, summoning a new wave of darkness to descend upon the wilderness. Undaunted by the growing shadow stalking them, Zuberi, Ayo, and Anaya continued onward. The prophecy's warning weighed heavily upon them, but it was also a guiding light, pulling them toward answers and the crown. Ahead lay secrets wrapped in deeper danger and truths that could shatter everything they thought they knew. Together, their strength would be tested not only by their enemies but by the bonds they had come to rely on. With every step, they forged a path through the unknown, their journey evolving into an epic tale of courage. Little did they know, their greatest trials were yet to come. The light of the Obsidian crown was dim, but it still flickered, and where there was light, there was hope. The wilderness swallowed their forms, leaving behind whispers of fate, shadows of destiny, and the promise of a heroic reckoning. The Obsidian Crown, Episode 3 awaits. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.